And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I love cake. I know. Big surprise. But cake is delicious. Not as good as pie, but cake is fantastic. And I love those big wedding cakes. I love the cakes that they make on Cake Boss. I think it's fantastic and neat. And so this theme from this cake game here, Pieces Montes, is a game about making cakes, and it has some beautiful illustrations of cakes. And in this game, you're using cards from both your hand and your opponent's hand to help you build the cakes. It's a fairly light game. Let me show you how it plays. Each player is going to get one of these chef cards, and it shows your stupid chef assistant on it, and you're kind of frazzled with them. One of the actions you're able to take over the course of a round is to flip this over and get an extra action. So you have 3 actions. You can flip the card over to get 4 actions. And then you can pay 2 actions to flip the card back, although you can't do both in the same turn. The game actually comes with these big wooden spoons that you can use to keep track of your actions if you so desire. Now, what you're trying to do in this game is you're trying to build cakes. Cakes are delicious, and there are several different colors of cakes. We have this blue Valentine's Day cake. We have here like a present type cake. This cake looks like it's made for the ball. We have a Christmas style cake and a wedding cake. And you'll use less cakes if you're playing with not with the full complement of 4 players. Now, each of these cakes, you'll notice, comes in different flavors. There's chocolate and vanilla. So if it's vanilla on one side, it's chocolate on the other side. And each cake is going to be built in layers. You'll see here's layer 3. So first I would need to play a layer 1. The layer 2 fits very neatly on top of that. And the layer 3 fits on top of that. You're going to be trying to score points at the end of the game. And if you have a layer 1 cake, that's worth 1 point. If you have a layer 2, it's worth 4. And if you have a layer 3, that's worth 3. Now you might notice that the cards are double-sided. So let's say I draw my hand and I have these 5 cards. So I'm seeing a 1 chocolate red, a 3 chocolate green, a 1 chocolate orange, 2 vanilla blue, and a 1 white vanilla blue. My opponents, however, are seeing a 2 and 3 chocolate blue, a 3 white, a 1 white. So they know that the other side is chocolate of these 3. They know the other side of these is white, but they don't know the exact numbers because there's a different distribution of numbers. On your turn, you have these 3 actions to play. You can spend 1 spoon, 1 action, to place a level 1 cake in front of you. You can spend 2 spoons to put a level 2 cake on top of that, but it has to be the same, has to be vanilla and the same color. And then you can spend 3 actions on another turn to place the 3rd one on top of that. Let's see if I can find the 3rd piece of that cake. There's only so many of each type. Another action you can spend is to take a card in your hand or someone else's hand and flip it over. And did I forget to mention, when you're building these, they can come from your hand or your opponent's hand. Now the way this works is, if this card is here, I have a 3 vanilla yellow. My opponents, if they use it, are using a 1 chocolate yellow. So if I want to use the chocolate, I need to flip it around. If they want to try to see if the other side is what they need, they will spend 1 to flip it around. And if you're playing with 2 players, you have like a dummy hand next to the board. Now you're not supposed to look at the other side, so you can't look at the backs of your cards, and your opponents can't look at the fronts of yours. But this is essentially what you're doing. Now remember, you have this assistant that you can flip over to get an extra action. Also, you're only allowed to be building 3 cakes at one point in time. However, you can flip your assistant over to allow a 4th cake to be started. This is a delightful game. Really, that's the best way to put it. I think the artwork helps. I mean, the artwork is fantastic. It has this beautiful cake. The assistant has this comic book, a comical feel to it, but at the same time, it looks neat when you put it on a table. The cards are big and they're gorgeous, and the 2-sided nature of them is cool. Now, it can be, you gotta be careful because there'll be times where I'm doing something, I lay my hand of cards down, and I'm used to laying my hand of cards down with the backs down, and you're not supposed to do that because you're not supposed to look at the cards. But at the same time, you don't want to lay them down so your opponents can see what is on the other side. Although seeing what's on the other side, it does matter at points in the game, but it's not as critical over the course of the game. The little expansion, adding the little things on the top, that's minuscule, minor. I think after the first game, everyone will add that in because it's just so simple and easy to do. The game itself is pretty easy. You're grabbing cakes and you're trying to either get cakes, you're looking for the right things to do. It's easy to get those level 1s down because there's lots of them and you put them down and there's only one action. To get a level 3, you need to have that 1, 2 and have that 3 ready to be built. Your opponents can see that. They may flip a card around in their hand on purpose so that it's not going to help you at all. They don't know necessarily if there's a 3 on the other side, but they can certainly say, well, I don't want they're building a vanilla cake, and so I'm going to make sure I show them chocolate of green. So there's that action and reaction and taking cards, and because you can build from everybody's hands, there's interaction. You're watching what people are doing every turn to see if they're pulling cards from your hand or not, and what's going to be back. Now that does mean with 4 players, the game is a little more chaotic. You can't do a lot of planning, but this game is kind of light in that way, where you're just sitting there building cakes, and it plays fairly quickly, 20 minutes or so, and so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the theme. I thought the theme fit with the game. I liked the beauty of the cakes on the table. And I love the double-sided cards and pulling them from both my hand and opponent's hands. Flipping them, playing them, etc. A neat little game, so check it out, especially if you like cake. Dice Tower Judgment. Excellent.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
Yeah?